Wisconsin, land of cheese, beer, and friendly folks. It's the last place you'd expect a plot to assassinate a president to brew. But in the quiet town of Oconomowoc, a chilling plan was taking shape, orchestrated by none other than a 17-year-old named Nikita Kassap. Kassap's alleged crime sent shockwaves across the nation. He's accused of brutally murdering his own parents, Tatiana Kassap and Donald Mayer, in cold blood. Their only transgression? Standing between Kassap and the $14,000 he believed he needed to fund his twisted mission. The brutality of the murders was shocking enough, but the motive? Even more chilling. Kassap, it seemed, wasn't driven by typical teenage angst. He was on a self-proclaimed mission to save the white race, fueled by a toxic stew of hate and delusion that culminated in a plot to assassinate former President Donald Trump. This wasn't just a crime of passion. It was a calculated act of violence, meticulously planned and fueled by a dangerous ideology. The question that has gripped the nation is simple yet profound. How could a teenager, seemingly ordinary on the surface, harbor such darkness within? The depths of Kassap's radicalization became horrifyingly clear with the discovery of his 3-page manifesto. In this rambling document, he outlined his twisted worldview and the supposed justification for his heinous acts. Kassap believed that the white race was under attack and that drastic measures were needed to preserve its purity. At the heart of his delusional ideology lay a venomous hatred for anyone who didn't fit his narrow definition of racial purity. He railed against immigrants, minorities, and anyone he deemed a threat to his warped vision of a white ethno-state. Kassap's manifesto wasn't just a collection of hateful screeds, it was a blueprint for chaos. He believed that by assassinating President Trump, he could throw the country into disarray and ignite a revolution. In his warped mind, this chaos was a necessary step towards the creation of his white supremacist utopia. His words dripped with a chilling conviction that was both disturbing and perplexing. How could someone so young be so thoroughly consumed by such hatred? What forces, both online and in the real world, molded his impressionable mind into a weapon of hate? Kassap didn't develop his extremist views in a vacuum. His descent into darkness was aided and abetted by a shadowy online world of hate, where groups like the Order of Nine Angles lurk in the digital shadows, preying on the vulnerable and disaffected. The Order of Nine Angles, or O9A, is not just another fringe hate group, it's a dangerous and insidious organization with a long history of violence and terror. Their ideology is a toxic blend of neo-Nazi beliefs, Satanism, and esoteric mysticism, all geared towards inciting chaos and racial hatred. O9A operates on the fringes of the internet, spreading its poisonous propaganda through online forums, encrypted chat rooms, and social media platforms. They target young people like Kassap, who are often drawn to their message of hate and rebellion, offering them a sense of belonging and purpose in a world that may feel increasingly isolating and hostile. The group's influence on Kassap was undeniable. Investigators found materials linked to O9A on his phone, and his manifesto echoed many of the group's core tenets. This case has thrown a harsh spotlight on the growing threat of online radicalization and the urgent need to combat the spread of extremist ideologies on the internet. Kassap's plot wasn't confined to the borders of Wisconsin. In a bizarre twist, he claimed to be in contact with individuals in Russia, discussing plans to overthrow the US government. These alleged communications, if true, paint a picture of a young man deeply enmeshed in a web of delusion and international intrigue. The nature and extent of Kassap's contact with foreign entities remain shrouded in mystery. Did he truly believe he was collaborating with foreign agents? Or were these claims merely the product of a mind warped by extremist propaganda? Adding another layer of complexity to the case was Kassap's apparent interest in Ukraine. He reportedly inquired about seeking refuge there after carrying out his plan, suggesting a belief that he would find safe haven among those sympathetic to his cause. Kassap's international communications, whether real or imagined, raised troubling questions about the global reach of extremist ideologies and the potential for foreign influence in domestic terrorism. This case underscores the need for greater international cooperation in combating extremism and monitoring the activities of individuals and groups who seek to sow discord and violence across borders. Section 5. The Road to Radicalization, delving into Kassap's psyche. What drove Nikita Kassap to the brink? How did a seemingly ordinary teenager transform into a radicalized extremist willing to kill his own parents and plot an assassination? These questions haunt investigators and the public alike, demanding a deeper examination of the psychological and social factors that can lead to such extreme behavior. Was Kassab a victim of online grooming, targeted by extremist groups who prey on the vulnerable and impressionable? Did he suffer from underlying mental health issues that went unnoticed or untreated? Or was his radicalization a more gradual process, fueled by a toxic combination of personal grievances, social isolation, and exposure to extremist content online? Experts caution against simplistic explanations, emphasizing that radicalization is often a complex process with no single cause. It can be influenced by a confluence of factors, including personal experiences, social networks, psychological vulnerabilities, and exposure to extremist ideologies. Understanding the pathways to radicalization is crucial for developing effective prevention and intervention strategies. This requires a multifaceted approach that addresses the root causes of extremism, from social isolation and economic inequality to online radicalization and the proliferation of hate speech. Section 6. Justice at the Crossroads, the legal battle ahead. As the shock and horror of Kassab's alleged crimes begin to subside, the wheels of justice have been set in motion. The legal battle ahead promises to be complex and fraught with challenges, raising profound questions about accountability, mental competency, and the influence of extremist ideologies. At the state level, Kassab faces 9 felony charges in Waukesha County, Wisconsin, including 2 counts of first-degree intentional homicide for the deaths of his parents. If convicted on these charges, he could spend the rest of his life behind bars. However, the federal charges against Kassab are even more serious. He faces charges of plotting to assassinate a president, conspiracy, and the use of weapons of mass destruction. These charges carry the potential for the death penalty, placing Kassab's fate in the hands of a jury and raising complex legal and ethical questions about capital punishment. Kassab's defense team is expected to argue that he was not of sound mind at the time of the crimes, citing his age, alleged mental health issues, and the influence of extremist ideologies. This defense, if successful, could lead to a reduced sentence or commitment to a psychiatric facility instead of prison. Section 7. Safeguarding our future, combating extremism in the digital age. The case of Nikita Kassab highlights the growing threat of extremism in the digital age. Extremist ideologies spread online, radicalizing individuals and inspiring violence. Combating this requires a multi-pronged approach addressing online and offline factors. Tech companies must stem the tide of hate speech and extremist content. This includes robust content moderation systems and cooperation with law enforcement. We must also address social and economic factors that make individuals vulnerable. Fostering critical thinking and media literacy is crucial, especially for young people. Section 8. The unanswered questions. As the legal proceedings unfold, many questions remain unanswered. The full extent of Kassab's alleged contacts with foreign entities is still being investigated. The details of his online radicalization are still being pieced together. Could anyone have intervened to prevent this tragedy? The case of Nikita Kassab is a stark reminder of the challenges we face in an era marked by online extremism. It is a call to action for all of us to work together to prevent future tragedies. The road ahead will be long and arduous. By confronting extremism and fostering dialogue, we can build a safer future. The story of Nikita Kassab is a tragedy for the victims, his family, and society. It demands our attention and commitment to creating a world where such tragedies are no longer possible.
If the information in this video was helpful, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.